holy night. A manger in a stable in the middle of nowhere. It's dark, cold, the unlikeliest of places for the King of Kings to lay his head. Yet, he came. No audience, no entourage. The light of the world, who came for you and for me. This is the story of Christmas. That night, everything changed. Heaven touched earth, and love entered with a tiny breath. The cry of a newborn king echoed through all eternity. I am with you. This is the story of Christmas. A star appeared in the heavens that night. A star so bright, astronomers began to follow. Angels filled the skies with songs of praise, calling shepherds to leave their flocks and see for themselves what had transpired. And when they arrived, they were so compelled, they bowed down in awe and worshiped him. This is the story of Christmas. Jesus' arrival brought the fulfillment of promises to a people who had lost all faith. To a people living in despair, hope was born. In the midst of strife and division, the Prince of Peace came to silence our storms. In a world of hate, love won and broke through the darkness. This is the story of Christmas. This is no ordinary story. This is the greatest story ever told. The Savior of the world, Emmanuel, God with us, who stepped down from heaven to earth, born for you and for me. This is the story of Christmas.
You know what? I should just let him preach. Should have just let him preach. That's such a great job. Well, hey, Merry Christmas. Hey, you made it. You made it. Tomorrow's Christmas. You made it. And you're still talking to your relatives. At least some of you. At least some of you. Hey, glad you're here. Glad you're here. I'll tell you what, though. I want to take the time to just remind us about what I believe that the Christmas story, how it affects you tonight. Because, you know, the Christmas story is so profound because it affects us in so many ways. But as I was thinking about this, I thought, I think what we need to be reminded of, that there's a particular part of the Christmas story that we need to understand. And that is that the birth of Jesus reminds us this, that we should never allow what we have lost keep us from what we could find. See, some of us, you know what I'm talking about, because this year you lost a few things. You lost your mind. You lost your peace. You lost a little bit of faith, a little bit of trust. But we can't allow what we've lost keep us from what we could find. See, some of us are so consumed with the grief of something that we've lost, a relationship, that you're not opened up to find what's next, what's new in your life. And so the Christmas story actually reminds us that even though you and I are waiting on something, we should never allow ourselves to be so consumed with our loss that we can't gain what God has for us. So here's what I want to do. I want to talk about this idea of losing things, first of all. Now, have we ever lost anything? Anybody lost anything? Anybody? Yes, you're okay. I'll tell you what, I couldn't believe I did this. The other day, I kid you not, friends, I was in my neighborhood at night, walking around, listening to a podcast. I took my headphones off, and I looked around my neighborhood, and I went, I don't know where I am. I have no idea how to get home. You think I'm joking? I'm not. I'd ask Siri to help me find home. I was like, where am I? So I was like, maps, find home. And I was like, oh, okay, that's how I get there. See, I lost my way, but then I found a new way in my own neighborhood how to get to my house. It's ridiculous. But I've lost all kinds of things. You've lost your phone, right? Anybody? Yes? Right now, you're like, I don't know where it is, actually. Remote control keys, you lose all kinds of things. You get lost in things sometimes. Have you ever gotten lost in a relationship? You know what I'm talking about? Like you're in a relationship with someone, and you're like, I don't know where we are right now. Do you know what I'm saying? Because you're in a situation in that relationship, and now that relationship is actually a Situationship. Because you're lost. That's what a situation is. A situationship is when two people are in a relationship totally lost. We don't know where we're going. We don't know what's going on, what's happening. And so what I want to do is I want to find us this nugget of truth in the scriptures, that there are two people that find themselves kind of lost a little bit. Kind of lost because they've been waiting for a very long time. Now, the major characters in the Christmas story, okay, the couple that is the stars of the show, the couple, they're married couple. Stupple? What did I just say? The couple is, who's the couple? Mary and Joseph. They're super important, of course, baby Jesus, yes. But the couple. There's another couple, though. So there's another couple. For those of you who grew up in church, you were made to go to church. You maybe know there's another couple that's part of the Christmas story. Anybody know? For extra credit, it's Elizabeth and Zechariah. They're like something with a Z. I don't know. Ziggy. I'm not quite sure who. But yes, that's another couple. Because Elizabeth was the mother of John the Baptist, and they're part of the Christmas story and all that. But there is another couple. They're not technically together. They're not. But they are co-workers, actually. Okay, the first one is Simeon. Simeon is a guy who is an older guy who's been working at the temple for a very, very long time. He dedicates babies, he does all the stuff, and then one day something happens. So let's pick up the story and find out what's going on with Simeon and how can he speak to us tonight. It says here, at the time there was a man in Jerusalem named Simeon. He was righteous, devout, and eagerly waiting the Messiah to come. And what's that word? Rescue Israel. Rescue, important word there. It says the Holy Spirit was upon him and had revealed to him that he would not die. He would not die. He was not going to die until he had what? Seen the Lord's Messiah. So God told him back in the day, I don't know when, I don't know how old he is right now, I think he's at retirement age, but back in the day in his 20s, God said, hey, listen, I'm telling you, you're not going to die until you see the Messiah. And so he's been waiting and doing all kinds of things in the temple. And so what happens here? What happens is this guy has been waiting for so long, because we'll find out, is that I think he's waiting for a rescue. Why? Why is he waiting for rescue? Well, because he lived in a time where he was considered to be a slave. He was under the Roman Empire. And the Roman Empire believed that they were it. They were authoritarian. They believed that humans could be trafficked. And so he was one of them. He was a Jewish guy in the temple. The Rome just covers everybody and is in control of everybody. And this guy is just doing his thing, trying to keep the Jewish faith alive. Here's why he's been waiting for so long. Because we got the Old Testament, and then we got the what? New Testament. There's about 400 years of silence. There's 400 years of like, what's happening? Nothing's happening. All kinds of prophets, all kinds of cool Old Testament stories. Boom. 400 years, generations have passed. No silence. So he is in the front end of this, like the beginning of something's happening. So he's been waiting around because his granddad and his great-granddad, everybody was waiting around, but he's still waiting, and he believed that he would not die until he saw the Messiah, which is interesting. Because at some point, I'm sure he looked around and went, oh my gosh, God, are you going to do something? Have you done that? Can you relate to him? You look around and you go, am I supposed to be waiting for something? Because this is getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Because see, what happens is when you wait so long, you lose your mind. You lose your faith, you lose your hope, you lose trust, you lose so many things. When people say they're going to show up and they don't, you lose. Or they lose. You lose relationships when you just wait and wait for someone to just kind of get better. Have you ever done that? And they don't. You're just waiting and waiting and waiting. And so here he's an older guy, we'll find out. But man, maybe for some of us, we've been waiting this year. We lost something, and then we thought a couple of years ago, and we thought this year would be the year. And you just waited, and shoot, what's the date today? Right? You're like, I'm still there. I was hoping I would be a little bit more stable. I was hoping I would be a little bit more healthier. I was hoping I'd be in a relationship and not a situationship. I was hoping, and you're waiting and waiting. And when you wait, you just lose a lot of things, but maybe you even lose a little bit of yourself when you wait too long. So what happens with Simeon? Well, Simeon had a particular day. So he gets up in the morning and does his thing, and he's going to go, and there's a couple who's supposed to come and give a baby, and he's going to do the same old thing that he did all the time. But Luke is an interesting guy because when he writes this thing, he's not like all the other writers. Luke likes details. So he's like, that day. He puts in, that day. That day. What happened, bro? What happened? Calm down. What happened? He says, that day, the Spirit led him to the temple. I think it was his job. He had to show up. But anyways, okay. It led him to the temple. Could you imagine being led to work? I just was led to work. That's great because you're going to be fired if you're not. All right, anyways. So then what happened? So when Mary and Joseph came to be present to present the baby to Jesus, to the Lord as required, who was there? Simeon was there. Okay. Simeon was there. What's interesting, though, is that the reason why they came is because in Jewish culture at that time, it was the 8th day. You get circumcised and then you get dedicated. Okay, so 8th day was important. What's also important in Jewish culture is that there was how many days of creation? 7 or 6, 7. God rested. He counts that. But then the 8th day was like, okay, now it's all done. Now it's happening. Now it's the next day. It is the day. After everything is completed, this is now the beginning of something. So the 8th day is very important. What's interesting is I think some of us, we are kind of stuck in the 7, and the 8th day hasn't come for us. So that day, when Luke says that day, he actually means the 8th day. The 8th day. How many of us maybe, just maybe, are waiting for the 8th day to step into? Here's why I say this. Because what happened is, so when Simeon was there, he took the child in his arms and praised God, saying, Sovereign Lord, now let your servant, what? Die in peace, as you have been promised. Now, that's why I know he's old. He's like, finally, I can retire. I mean, like that's not how we do baby dedications at Mosaic, by the way. We don't go, finally, we can die. Oh, another baby. No, we don't do that. But he has a moment. Why? Because what God had promised him is just he's gone through the 7 days, and now on the 8th day, it happens. The 8th day happened for him, and that is he actually he saw it. He's like, oh my gosh. And when he says this, like, now your servant may die, it's funny because in other translations down the ages, it's actually become a Christian tradition. In Latin, it's the word nunc dimittis. Nunc dimittis, which actually means now I'm dismissed. Like I'm done. Now I'm done. It became a daily prayer. It was like this not this resignation, not this like I finally can leave my job. No. It was like this is a completion of a promise that had been promised to me. And they're like, I can see this. I can see this. So, okay, he's having a moment. And then he keeps on going. He says, as you promised, he says, I have seen your salvation, which you have prepared. He's talking to God. Now, the couple is still there going, okay, what's happening? Do you do this with every baby dedication? Is this happening? No, it doesn't. No, he says, I have seen your salvation, which you have prepared for all people. He is, and he's looking at Jesus. He's like, he is, this guy right here. He is the light to reveal God to the who? Nations. No, not just Jewish people, to the nations. And he is the glory of your people, Israel. So he says he is number one, the light to all the nations, which he's saying this rescue mission, which the word rescue there you talked about is the word ransom, meaning someone who is going to buy back our freedom. So Jewish people believe that. They're like, we are under slavery. Someone needs to buy our freedom. He says the Messiah was going to come and pay the ultimate price for that. And if you read more of the passage, Simeon actually goes into that. But before we get there, he says he is a light to reveal God to the nations. That means Jesus, for regardless of what you have heard, Jesus is not tribal. He is not national. He is not exclusive. With Jesus, there's never hope for some. It's always hope for all. It's always been. It's always been. He's going to be the light to all the nations, the world. We're going global here. And then he says, but he's going to be the glory. He's going to remind the people of Israel. And the reason why this is important, because in this moment in history, the Jewish people are at their lowest level. They're like, we're the worst. We're the marginalized. We are nothing, no one. And he says, and God He is the glory. He's the one who's going to give you worth, which means is that he tells us that God is the God who picks people who feel like no one else would pick. God, he says, and he'll be the glory. He'll be the one thing that actually puts us back to us being human again, because these Romans think that we're not. No, this is giving us our glory back, the glory of being human. He says he is going to be the glory of Israel, that Israel is going to be used. And so it reminds us that God picks us. He picks us not because we are talented necessarily. No, humanity does that. The world systems do that. But God picks us based on who we are. He says, I pick you. So if you find yourself a little lost, I just want you to know it's not connected to just maybe all you are worthy of. It's just what it is. It is what it is. You're like, no, Naeem, I've done this and I'm not special enough and I'm not good enough and I'm not this. And maybe God is for other people and he fixes other people, or he finds people, he answers prayers. No. I just want you to know he is the light to all the nations, and he is the glory of the people who feel marginalized. And maybe you just feel like that too. And so, what happens there? Well, what happens there is that he gets interrupted. Yeah, he gets interrupted. We read here, he gets interrupted by the second person in that couple. The couple, the person is Anna. So Anna, like I said, Anna is a person who's been working at the temple as well. And Luke, again, loves what? He loves what? Details, so he puts it in there. No other writer mentions the story, but this guy is like, I'm putting this couple in the Christmas story, by the way. So he goes on, he says, and Anna, he goes in, he says, Anna, a prophet, was what? Also there in the temple. Okay, Luke, all right. He was also there. And she was, and then he nerds out, he goes, and she was the daughter. She was the daughter of a guy named Phanuel. And we're like, and we don't care. Like what? Okay. And also, guys, and it was from the tribe of Asher. Okay, and guys, she was very old. I'm glad Anna didn't read this, right? She'd be low-key offended. She was like, listen, mature. I'm not old, mature. Senior citizen. Don't call me old, okay? And then he goes on. But just want you to know, but why does he... It's so funny. It's kind of talking about nerding out. He uses that word. He mentions the daughter of this guy named Phanuel. The word Phanuel literally means face of God. Someone who's going to see the face of God. Okay, that's interesting. Because what happens right after that? Well, Luke gets in, but he wants to tell us a little bit more detail about all the things that she has lost. She's been there for a while. Okay? Going to work with Simeon, that's a trip every day. And then he says her husband died when they had been married only 7 years. Then she lived as a widow to the age of 84. But guys, she never left the temple, but stayed there day and night. And she worshiping God, fasting, prayer. I just want you to know this woman had lost so much. She's lost so much. And she had been waiting for a long, long time time waiting for the same thing that Simeon was waiting for all things. While other people in their world was going about their business, she was like, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to wait and wait and wait. And you know and I know, and we've talked about this, right? When we wait long enough, we start losing all kinds of things. We lose our mind, we lose our faith, we lose our hope, we lose our trust, we lose everything. And so these two people find themselves on the 8th day. Simeon just had an 8th day. Luke says, this woman was there. Okay, this woman was there. Great, what happened? Okay, this woman was there. What happened is guess what? He goes on, he says, and she, guys, this is what happened. She came along just as what? Simeon was talking with Mary and Joseph. And she began praising God. So she just happens to come by the same time. He's doing his thing. He's doing his baby dedication, and all of a sudden she interrupts a baby dedication, shows up, and she obviously, I guess it turns into a musical. She's praising God. Okay. Have you ever, by the way, watched the movie? I just happened to be the other day watching a movie. I didn't realize it was a musical, and the person started singing. I was like, what are you doing, Ryan Reynolds? What are you doing? Why are you singing? What is happening? I didn't know. I didn't sign up for a musical. I was just like, I just didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Wicked, I get. We're singing everything. But this is not it. So, I don't know, again, when we do baby dedications, we don't start singing. Okay? It's not a musical. It's not a musical. But she is singing. Why is she singing? She's singing because she's experienced the same thing Simeon. She saw the face of God. The Phanuel, she saw the face. She was like, this is it. It is him. And I'm sure Simeon's like, I know. But why would Luke mention this? Why would Luke put this in there? Luke puts it in there because, see, besides Jewish people, women were considered second class. And so to mention them in stories was just, back in that day, useless. It was like, you don't count. Like even now, I grew up in the Middle East. Even now, in the religious court systems, there are 2 women's witnesses equal 1 male. They don't count. And so when you put women in stories like this, like the Easter story and all that, you realize that every story about Jesus involves women. Women are the first to find out. So here, she's in there. Why? Because Luke's kind of telling us, hey, if you feel like you're marginalized, if you feel like you're not chosen, if you feel like a second class, all of a sudden on the 8th day that God prepares for you, you step into that. And I'm going to make sure someone writes this down for you. And here's the other wonderful, amazing thing that she did. When she stepped into that moment, she in fact satisfied a Jewish testimony structure. Let me explain. Basically, in Judaism, when someone calls to be a witness, if there were 2 people that confirmed the same thing, it was legitimate. She became the second witness to the miracle. Simeon's like, this is the Messiah. She comes back and goes, this is the Messiah. Let me sing a song. Okay, she does that. She has just played an important role in her culture. She is the second person. She, in fact, didn't just realize this thing. She legitimized the Christmas story, which is such an honor. So, what does this say to us? Well, are you waiting for your 8th day? And are you waiting long enough, or have been waiting long enough, that you in fact have lost your way? And the truth is that we have. We do. We lose a part of ourselves. And she obviously, and he obviously waited so long. So I wonder if you wait so long and you lose so much, you end up losing yourself. You just feel like you're just lost. Maybe some of you, you just feel like you're lost in your faith with God. You're just lost in the world. You're just lost. I mean, everything is going kind of according to plan, but you know you've lost passion, you've lost vision, you've lost love, you've lost a lot, and you just find yourself lost in faith. You just don't even know why. Because when you lose something, the trauma of those things cause you to act a certain way, and you end up losing your way in all the ways, in all the areas of your life. And there was a guy who lost his way. There was a guy in the New Testament that kind of lost his way. He was a Jewish guy, but he ended up being a guy who kind of lost he lost faith in the Messiah. He lost faith in the Jewish teachings. He lost faith in the church. He lost faith in all things. And he just ended up working for the Romans. In fact, he became a tax collector. He would tax his own people and also skim some and get some for himself, because he's just like, you know what, I'm not putting my hope in a Messiah, I'm putting my hope in money. And I'm just going to do that. And so what's interesting about that is that I think he kind of shows up after Jesus is now being a light to the world and all that, talking to people about having lived a life where you begin to lose your way. Because I don't know if you know this, Jesus' messages were all about that, about us losing our way or finding our way back. In fact, Jesus tells a story, and it's actually 3 stories, but it's only one story. And here's why. Because if I tell you, hey, do you know the story of the shepherd who had 99 sheep and he lost how many? 1, and he leaves the 99 for you remember that story? Well, that's part of the story. It's not actually the full story. Let me explain. So in different cultures, storytelling is interesting because sometimes they use a pattern and sometimes they use a phrase. So like my language, I'm Pakistani. And so when my mom, my dad, or my uncle or an auntie or whatever, people who want to get my attention, if you want to get someone's attention, you go, hey. मैं आपको एक चीज़ बताऊं? So when you say मैं आपको एक चीज़ बताऊं, you're like, cheese? I hear cheese. It's not cheese. Okay? Cheese actually means thing. Anyways. So when you say मैं आपको एक चीज़ बताऊं, so you could be in conversation and all of a sudden my dad would be like, मैं आपको एक चीज़ बताऊं? Which means, hey, listen up. This is about to get serious. This is no jokes of all. This is a real thing. It's facts. This is facts of life. Okay? Well, in Jewish culture, if you wanted to make a point, you tell 3 stories. The 3 always kind of work together. 3. Okay? So when Jesus starts off and he talks about the sheep, right? He goes, 100 sheep, lost 1. How many you got? 9. So it's 100 to what? 1. You're like, no, Naeem, that's 5. Okay, you know what I'm talking about. It's 100 to 1. Right after that, he doesn't even finish the story. He goes, and by the way, there was a woman. There's a woman actually, and she had 10 coins, guys, and she lost 1. And she went around crazy looking for it, and when she found it, oh my gosh, she was so excited. Now it's not 100 to 1, now it's what? 10 to 1. And then he keeps on going. He does not finish the story. He's not done with that story. He goes, and you know what? There was a guy, he had 2 sons. You know what the 2 son story is? The prodigal son story. Which we think it's a standalone. It is not a standalone. No. It was part of the conversation. He didn't start there. He was like, and yeah. There was a guy. Now he's not 100 to 1, not 10 to 1. Now it's what? 2 to 1. It's just he lost 1. And he tells the story. And all along he's saying, this God who knows you are lost, who knows you've been waiting, who knows you have lost so many things, hope, trust, faith, and all that. He is the guy who understands that sometimes life is so rough and hard that it causes us to wander off, but not all who wander are lost. And he knows this, and he is the God who leaves the 99 to find the 1, who leaves the 10 to find the 1, and then he even goes after the 1 son who he has lost. And that's why the story ends with this. It ends with what? And he ends with him explaining to the older brother, hey, what are you talking about? We've got to celebrate. Here's why. Because your brother was lost, but now he is found. See, if you find yourself lost, I just want you to know that God is looking for you. If you ever wondered, does anybody care? Does anybody know that I'm even lost? Yes, and he's been looking for you. You know, after he told the story, they encountered that guy that I talked to you about, the guy who kind of lost his way, who was a tax guy, right? His name was actually Zacchaeus. So Jesus is walking around, and Zacchaeus is a shorter guy, and so he jumps up on a tree, and he's looking and wants to see Jesus, and everybody else is like, you stay up there, you tax collector, because he knows that people don't like him. Why? Because he's lost his way, he's lost his tradition, he's lost his morals, he's lost everything. He is to them a loser. He's lost everything. And then Jesus walks by, sees him, and goes, yo, Zacchaeus. Some of you guys know the story. He goes, hey, man, we got to do dinner. And everybody's like, you know who you're pointing to? He goes, we got to do dinner. And if you know the story, they go have dinner. And he turns around, his life around. And his people, even his disciples, are criticizing him. And you know what Jesus says? He says something that all along he's been saying the whole time through. And this is it. He says this. He says, for the Son of Man. He says, I'll tell you what. I came to what? To do what? To seek and save those who are lost. What do you think I came here for? As if he was saying, what do you think I was born for? Why do you think they call me God Emmanuel? God with us. God who wants to be with humanity. So if you and I find ourselves lost, we cannot allow what we've lost keep us from Jesus finding us. So, can I pray for you? Maybe you relate, maybe pretty intensely to this, and you've allowed trauma and grief to just take over. And maybe today God wants to remind you, hey, the Christmas story is really about me coming to find you. It's really about me creating an 8th day for you, where I line everything up and you step into a moment that you could never create for yourself. It's to tell some of you, it might feel like 84 years and you've lost the love of your life and you've been waiting and waiting. This Christmas story is about, yes, God making that 8th day for you, finding you. So would you allow yourself to be found by him? That's the question. Let's pray together. Let me pray for us. Lord God, I thank you so much. I thank you that you are the God who is looking for us. You're the God who invites us into hope and possibility. You're the God who reminds us with Christmas that you have come to seek and save that which has been lost. And so God, I pray that as we end tonight, and before we sing and light candles and all that, I pray that we take our time reminding us, God, that you are the light in our world. You are the light that creates space for us and shows us and clears the path to our way. God, I thank you that you made your way to us so we could make our way back home. You are truly the light of the world. So God, would you speak to us as we respond to you in this song? God, some of us might not want to receive communion. Some of us might go to the cross, might light a candle. God, I pray that we do whatever we need to do to remind our souls, God, that you are looking for us and you will find us. Let's stand together.